Hi, how are you guys? This is Angie Morenga. You're watching Just Angie, and I just want to talk about my trip. I've been away for around 6 weeks. It's been good to be away, but it's really good to be back. So I just want us to do this and talk about it, and just talk about State America and how my whole trip was, and it was just amazing. Looking forward to engaging with you shortly. Great. So I feel like asking you, how is everyone? I'm sure you're well. I've been watching and listening to your comments and watching them and being encouraged and by the views and the comments and the shares. And I'm really, really excited. And I think even the most amazing thing is that I know that there are many people who are watching who don't say anything. I don't know why we have that audience who doesn't say anything. They don't give any feedback, but I know that you're out there. And I know there's been a lot of shares as well on WhatsApp and everywhere else, and it's just been amazing. Before I talk about my US trip, let me laugh at Althea. You know, Althea her videos, I don't know whether she watched them or shared them. I was so happy. Her friends have written in, have called her, told her that she's like, hey, you guys are watching my mom. They're like, hey, us and your mom were bumper to bumper. So I was very good, very, very happy and very excited about that. So I just did a 6 weeks trip to the States, and I think something changed. I wonder whether it's because I'm older and wiser, or just the perceptions, but something changed. You know, every time I go to the States, I usually go to attend a conference, Bishop T.D. Jakes' conference, but this time was different. I was actually going to settle my daughter there, and then also I had a speaking engagement, 2 speaking engagements in Seattle, and then I was going to visit a friend of mine and just rest and write this book that I've been wanting to write. So I just want to talk about my experiences. So I think what was different was that I met a lot of people on my trip. Very many different people, and that's another thing that's amazing. But first of all, there are many Kenyans out there in the States. Some are doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're working. I guess everybody's doing what they're supposed to do. But I met different people. I met people who are in the process of trying to get their papers, because there are all these paper issues, trying to get their papers, and they work really hard and they work really long hours. And then I found another set of people. I think that was a bit exciting for me, where I found people who, you know, when you go to the States, you need a really good work ethic. By the way, let me just even divert now. You know, there are people who, you want to go to the States, let me tell you, going to State America is for work. The work ethic is amazing. They really work. It's got its good side and its bad side, because they really work, you know. I was even talking to somebody who, I don't even know how you're going to get married unless you meet the person at work, because the social interaction engagements are so few. It's like us guys get to go to weddings, we get to go to funerals, we get to go to meetings. I mean, they sort of relax mode. But they are like Monday to Friday, people are working. Every waking moment, people are working. They have double shifts, triple shifts, so they really don't have time to socialize and to engage, like in just relaxing. Although I think I found on Saturday people are more relaxed than Sunday, but Monday to Friday guys are really working. And what I liked also, I was thinking about the mindset that has changed, is that, and then I found an older generation like me. I think they must have gone maybe in their 20s and 30s. Now they're in their 50s, and they're like, you know what? Hey, it's never that serious. And I loved that switch. And they're working more smart. They're getting better jobs. They even are finding out how they can get funding to do the work that they do. So there's like a shift, you know. And they're like, I was amazed to hear them say, you know, me, I'm not going to do those double shift, triple shift. You know, me, Uko, I've left that story. And they're trying to work smart, try to find out how the system can even work for them. And I just loved it. I loved the shift, you know. And I guess when you get older, you realize, hey, I'm 50, maybe I've got another 30 years, 80, because the Bible tells us 70 and 10. So even if you've got another 30 years, you're thinking through what you want to do with the rest of your 30 years, yeah? You can't work those double, triple shifts, and you've got to find a way to make it work for you. So I loved that one. I found people who are people of prayer. That's what I love about Kenyans. Hey, Kenyans can pray. People who pray, people who love God, or maybe it's just because those are the kind of people that I'm rolling with, that those are the people that I met. But that was amazing to see people who love God, who continue in the work of God, who when they're doing the work of God, when they're in prayer, and just see how their lives have changed. So I loved that about my trip to the US this time. I loved speaking. I think in Seattle was really amazing, because that was my first speaking engagement in the US. I've always gone to visit and to gain and to drink from the nation and from their leaders, but never to speak. So that was very amazing. I loved Seattle. I've always said that I would never settle, I'd never go and live in the States. First of all, I need to stop saying never. Me, because I always say, whatever I say never to, always comes to pass. So I should never say never, but I was like, no, I don't think I'm the kind of person who would want to go and live in the US. But I found one state, not a state, is it Washington State? But Seattle, I would live there. I love the weather, I love the people, I love the layout. There's just a feel about it. I just felt peaceful when I was there, which is amazing. Because when I get into a nation, I can pick up the sense of the nation, like, hey, maybe I don't feel safe, or I feel, maybe I can sense suspicion. So I always pick up the spirit of a place when I enter. And when I went into Seattle, I was like, this is an amazing place. I could live here, I could retire here, I could live there. So that was beautiful about Seattle. And then LA, hey, LA is LA. My child, oh gosh, I have prayed all the prayers, anointed all the oil. Woo-wee. It's a very fast paced. Now, when I got into LA, the spirit I picked is, hey, what? Alert, high alert, like wait, here you have to be alert, because it's a very fast, there's a lot happening. And by the way, I said I'm going to do a video on this, so I might as well talk about it. Those highways, I said, these people, there's a plan to kill people. I don't know what the plan is. I've driven for 32 years, and the highways, the highways or freeways scared me. I was like, goodness, I've driven for 32 years. By God's grace, I've never had an accident. But though the speed, I don't know what the plan is, but there's a plan. I don't understand the plan. And I was like, no wonder, because that's one of the things I picked about the States, is that there's so much order, so much order. Order there's so much order in everything that they do. And you know, even on those freeways, as fast as they're going, because I'm telling you, I was asking, is there a speed limit? Yes, but you're supposed to go with the flow. So if the first car is going at 200 and you're in the fast lane, you must flow at that. And honestly, this must be the only country in the world where you get a ticket if you're not going with the flow. What does that make sense? There's a speed limit, but they don't follow it. I mean, if you're in the fast lane and the first car is going at 200 miles, 200 kilometers per hour, that's what you need to do. It's ridiculous, and they drive fast. But what I loved about order is that there's no room for mistakes on that highway. This is not where you're in and out, and I was like, yeah, welcome back to Kenya, in and out of the zipping through the lane. First, of course, for that you're going to get a ticket, but also I understood why. Guys are moving at lightning speed. So you have to move with them, and you cannot afford to make a mistake, because one mistake will cause a pileup, would cause too many people's deaths. Anyway, those freeways, let me tell you, I was interceding, praying, everything, tongues, woo, screaming. I was like, hey, Paka, there's a point of God. I said, hey, Pastor Angie, please remember who you are. You're an anointed servant of God with a lot of purpose to fulfill. You're all going anywhere. But those freeways scared me. So where was I back from my freeways? Then I went to North Carolina, which I love because I liked it. It was just to relax and to write this book. And then I realized that God had answered a prayer. So even if you're out there and you're watching today, and sometimes, we forget what God has answered for us. And so one day I remember I was listening to Pastor Oscar Murillo at Nairobi Chapel, and he said that he went to write a book and somebody gave him a house somewhere I remember it was in the US. I don't know why I feel like it was on a high place or something. Maybe it's what he talked about. It was quiet, and he wrote his book for 3 months. And part of the reason even I was staying away, and I've been away twice this year, but I've been staying longer, is to finish writing this book. Because when I'm here in Kenya, I can't. I mean, the phone calls, the SMSs, the engagements, the videos, it's just, there's so much to do. I don't have time to sit down and spend the whole day just writing. And I listened to him, and I was like, oh wow, one day I'd love that to happen for me, Lord. When I got to North Carolina, I realized it happened because my hosts have a beautiful home, and they were out and about doing their stuff. So I was able to sit and be quiet, no phone calls, nothing, and just write. And that was amazing. So I made a lot of progress in the book. It's not yet done yet, but at least we are more than halfway through. And that was really amazing. North Carolina is very humid, and also because of my imagination and the way that I think, every time I go to a place, I think about the slaves. And I was like, hey, the slaves were working in these conditions because it's very humid and then there's no wind, It's humid, sticky, and there's no wind. When you're in coastal, it's humid, but there's so much wind, it's very refreshing. So it wasn't. I started thinking about the slaves and how they worked and were they working in these conditions, because it's a very uncomfortable heat. But North Carolina is amazing. It's beautiful. It's quiet. I kept thinking, for us, I guess for me who's older, let me talk about myself, it's a nice place. It's a relaxing place. There's not much happening and it's good. For younger people, no wonder they want to be in LA, because there it's happening. It's happening every minute of every moment of every day. And I kept thinking when I was there, Althea would not even love being here. She doesn't like, it can't be too quiet. It's like even when we started having different holidays, is because, me, I want quiet. The whole idea of the holiday is to be quiet, to be still, to eat and sleep and relax. The idea of a holiday is it will make you more tired. You need a holiday from a holiday, because you'll be just fed up because there's too much noise, too much hanging, no sleeping. So I don't understand how that is a holiday. Anyway, so I was thinking the same thing about North Carolina, that that it would be, it's a nice, quiet place, I guess, for an older kind of people. It's very nice, not very fast paced, and you can tell. You see, when I landed in North Carolina, the spirit was peace. Just a lot of peacefulness, a lot of maybe people coming to that time in their lives when they want to relax, invest. It's quieter, it's not hyped up, and that was a lovely 2 weeks. And then I went back to LA, back to the happening spaces, and that was really nice, just finish up with Althea and then come back home. And I think also the other thing I said, I posted on Facebook, is that I attended one church LA for Pastor Ture Roberts and Pastor Sarah Jakes Roberts. And it's because I've been watching them on, especially Pastor Sarah Jakes on as I watch the bishop. So as she's been preaching, I find her very anointed. I remember one day I said to people, I think when I went to Atlanta the first time for Women Thou Art Loosed in 2014, I said, the person who's going to be the next bishop is Sarah Jakes. And guys just looked at me like I'm crazy. I said, this girl is going to be the next bishop. Why? Because of the pain that she's been through in her life. There are some things, and especially about, not that you can only go into ministry when there is pain. There are people who've gone into ministry when there's no pain. But let me tell you, pain, there's something pain. And when you overcome pain, there's something it does to you that makes you reach out to other people, number one. It makes you want to help other people. And there's just a calling that comes out of it. So I could see a lot of pain in her eyes, even as they were ministering with her mom and her sister. But I could see it. And I said, this is going to be the next bishop. And guys were like, okay, they were thinking about it, but they were not very convinced. But if you've ever seen her, how I started watching her is when she comes to Potter's house, TD Jake's church, and she preaches. Hey, the presence of God is for craziness. I mean, and it's all coming from a place of pain, and turning your pain into purpose, turning your pain into a message, knowing that you will not always be there. I think for me, her biggest message has always been that when she got pregnant at 14. I mean, gave birth at 14. That is crazy. That is just enough to make you lie down and sleep and give up. And then she thought her life was over. But look at what God has done with her life. She was also in a bad marriage, and then she is now married to the man of her dreams, and they have a blended family. So there's a lot of stuff going on there. But all that stuff is to give people hope. At whatever stage you would be in her story, is to give you hope. So that's why I went to church. I wanted to go to one church LA, and this is what I posted on Facebook. I've been to many churches. And you can walk into a church, and I've said that before as well, there's no church that is a bad church. You could become maybe irrelevant, but there's no bad church. All church was created by God, came out of a calling. So the foundations are good, and it starts well. But sometimes, and also churches, I think, go through seasons. They can go through up and down seasons. So that's the same, But when you walk into a church and you feel the presence of God, it is crazy. And I walked into one church early. First of all, the first Sunday, I cried the whole service. I'm thinking, this woman. And it's a younger crowd, They're like maybe from their 20s to their 30s. I'm sure the oldest person maybe was around 35. They're not old people, and so I'm here, I'm 50 and weeping the whole service, And then I love the fact that it was Devon Franklin who was teaching the word. And actually all the two services I went to, he was teaching, but then the last one I think was the lady. But I loved it. I was like, what, this guy? And he's real. He's so humble we need to learn. You know, I think that's another thing from State America is that this hierarchy issue, you know, somebody was telling me they work in an office with people who are, if it was Kenya, they would be on a floor with security and no one can come anywhere near them, you know, but you can reach them, you can touch them. I mean, I walked up to Devon frankly after that, had a conversation. He even says, the second time I met him, he said, oh, you're the lady who gave me a prophetic word. I don't remember giving him a prophetic word, but that's the story of my life. But it's okay because the Holy Spirit is the one who speaks and gives a word. And just easy. All the time he talked to me, he held my hand, listening with intent to what I was saying. And then we took a photo. I mean, it was just amazing. And then the message was the one, I think that was the one I said, the reclaiming the time, you know, that we've got to reclaim our time. What's happening with the time? And he said, and he gave the analogy, he used the phone. And when the alarm goes off, we usually snooze it. And that's what we're doing with our own lives, yeah? We are snoozing our lives. We're saying, the alarm comes, God said, oh, I want you to do this. This is where I want, this is the direction I want you to take. What do? Snooze. Then we move. So you're hitting snooze continuously instead of getting on with your life. And he was like, it's time to reclaim our time. So the message is definitely available, I think, on YouTube. If you need to watch it, I think it would be a good thing to do. And reclaim your time. And what are you doing with your time? And I love the fact that he spoke to the young people. He was like, you know, we spend so much time on our phones, watching our phones or our laptops, watching other people's lives. You create your story. Stop watching somebody else's life. Stop watching poor Kim Kardashian. Stop watching you create. If that's what you want, become the next Kim Kardashian. But stop just watching somebody else's life and not engaging in what they are doing to become successful. So you're just watching, you're just a spectator, and there's no change. You know, it's like the same thing I say about church. You can go to church or listening to the word of God, there's no application. Apply. Take one thing, apply. If it is fasting, apply. If it is prayer, apply. If it is discipline, apply. If it is I've been telling leaders to schedule your time. So you know, this is what I do. Like now for me, the shoots are Thursday, Friday, yeah? Tuesday is when I do my coaching and my meetings. Wednesday is when I do a lot of reading and research. Mondays, I'm in prayer a lot because usually at the end of that day, I'm ministering or we're coming together for the Joseph's Fellowship. So schedule your day. Make sense of your day. Make sense of your time that you have, yeah? And reclaim the time that you have. So that was good. And then the second Sunday, he was talking about his book. I loved it, The Hollywood Commandments. And he was signing them. So everybody got a signed copy and he signed your book, autographed, and then you took a picture with him. But what was amazing was the relaxation of that man. The relaxation, the delivery of the word, and then saying that, I think that's the most profound thing, that even Hollywood doesn't know what to do with him now because he's successful, but they know he's a Christian. They know he doesn't compromise on his principles, and they just have to deal with him. Actually, he was saying one producer, I can't remember her name now, said that because she's a Jew, the closest she could refer to Devon Franklin is a rabbi. But Devon Franklin is making it work. And therefore, he's showing us that as marketplace leaders, you can make it work. You can be so good at what you do that you can still confess that Christ is your Lord and Savior, that you're being led and you're living on the principles of the kingdom of God, and you flow. But what you have to do is become the best. And I think, no, for him, what I heard him saying is that he knew. He knew from the beginning that he's going to Hollywood and he's going to make it in that Hollywood. There's something that's going to happen, so he knew what he wanted to do. And I urge you out there to make sure that you know what you want to do and begin to pursue it. And therefore, Hollywood is full. And then I love it, you know. I think Hollywood is a place where actually I remembered in LA, just when I was coming back, my friend Kyo texted me and told me, oh, you know, Azusa Street is in LA. I was like, oh my God, and I didn't have time. Otherwise, I'd have gone there prostrating one loose Kenyan on Azusa Street causing chaos because Azusa Street is too, so I didn't make it. But I was like, you mean this Los Angeles with all their drama is where God started a whole revival. A revival was birthed from this place. They need Jesus. And I started praying for them. I said, this would now, the same revival, the same fire. But you can tell it's the place where I was going to say, where your life can change from in just 1 second. You know, you meet somebody. Even yesterday, I was watching, I think, Chasing Destiny on DSTV. And one girl, she was just walking in the street when this great producer, I can't remember, I think in Kelly Rowland or somebody, they met her and they put her in a program that they're doing where the girls are singing and dancing and, you know, and they're chasing destiny. That's the thing with LA. You can just be walking in the streets and somebody will find you. Or you go for one audition, everything changes, you know. I love watching Compton. I like watching one of my favorite movies is Straight Out of Compton. And now when I was there, I watched the Streets of Compton. And to understand that the guy of Blackish, I can't remember his name now, came out of also Compton. You know, and they were talking about the stars that came out of Compton. I mean, it was amazing to see that people can come from nothing and become something. And that's the thing. That's LA is actually the land of promise. Is that that today you can be a nobody, tomorrow you're just amazing, you just get your break. And that's what everybody's there, trying to get there, to get their break, to try to get to do something. I think the other observation I made about America is that I found that the African American community are very switched on, more than I'd found them from before. And I kept thinking, maybe it's because of people like Bishop T.D. Jakes, and there are many, Bishop Dale Bronner, there are many African American ministers of God who have really sort of spoken life and ministered and taught and discipled their community. And you can see there's a difference, there's a change in that community and the way the community thinks. And also, let me say this because I remember it. Now, Blackish, I've never watched Blackish, maybe 1 or 2 episodes, but when I was coming back on the plane, I watched it. But I was so happy that I did after spending time in LA. So I knew sort of the lingo, could understand the dynamics of the city. So I'm so glad I watched it then, you know. And one of the things that I'm also going to talk about one day is the thing about voting. The politics behind the African American and voting is crazy. All they've ever wanted, even those, I'm beginning to believe that those prisons they built and creating laws like if you commit a felony, you cannot vote, are all about voting. Yani, this world is so, everything flows around politics. Honestly, I want to do a serious study about politics and what we're doing wrong and what we need to do right, and how can you punish an entire people just because you don't want them to vote. I mean, I think that's ridiculous. It is the most ridiculous thing, and I was actually thinking, it's so ridiculous, and I think it's so true, but it's like, you mean this can happen? You can actually stop people from voting, take them to prison, create prisons to imprison them, to create laws so that they cannot vote. All this is about politics. Honestly, politics, we need some divine intervention. We need Jesus to come and do something, because everywhere, even this nation, it's too much. And you punish people, you actually destroy people and destroy lives because of voting. Anyway, that was LA. And then I came back. And then I was saying also, when I was, I don't know where I ever got this perception, but one of the things also that I loved about it is that there are actually people out there, Kenyans who are out there making a living and wanting to live there. And I think before I used to judge them and think that's not right. You know, you come home. But no, you know, I think we all have a choice. Maybe it's like I said, maybe it's because I'm growing older. We have a choice where we want to live, and people have made a life out there. And I felt like when I wanted to come back and speak, I said, you know, one of the things that you also have to do is you can actually live on 2 continents. You don't have to live in 1 continent. You can make a life for yourself here, and you can make a life for yourself anywhere, whether it's the US, whether it's in Europe, because I don't think we should limit ourselves. And one of the things that those who are living there have done is given a great opportunity for their children. You know, I'm amazed that I was thinking, oh, you know, I don't know why it is that Africans were the ones who can, when we can afford it, and that's good that we can afford it, go and settle our children. I remember I was having a conversation with my doctor just before I left, and he was like, Althea is 23. I'm like, please, you take care of your children, let me take care of mine. And she should just go to, I said, America, big bad America is like a big bad wolf. No, please. Let me first go and know where she's going, who is around her. I can't imagine sitting here and the child has gone, which brought me to the fact that also our parents, I kept thinking our parents were crazy. Then somebody corrected me. They were not crazy. That's just all they knew. Because they would send you to state America with a one-way ticket, with enough money for 1 week, and they leave you. What? I mean, this is crazy, but I guess that's what they knew. But I was saying that it's important that I went and I settled out here because, and then when I went to church the last Sunday at one church LA, there was a lady preaching and she said how her and her family, I said, for sure this is an African thing, it's in our genes, relocated from one state to California because their daughter wanted to go to school in Los Angeles. I said, hey, this is one step up. The whole family located for like 3 months, just to see, so she can test the space, feel how she's feeling, see whether she can settle. So they went and got an apartment. She went and got an apartment. They let her live on her own. Can you imagine? That's such love. I know as long as we can afford it and we can do it, we should always do that for our children. You know, I was even threatening out there. I was telling her, let me tell you something. I might move in. I might come. Because why do we act like our children? Yes, they want to go, but they're our children. We're responsible for them. You don't just send them to the big bag USA and just say, see you, bye. No, you have to be there if you can, as much as you can, and see that they are okay, they are well. The world is not even the way it was before. I think the world we lived in was a pretty safe world, but not now, you know. So I was amazed. I was like, hey, these ones have taken it another step. The whole family moved at that stage to ease their daughter into living into that stage. And then, of course, the funniest thing happened. That's when Althea looked at me like, don't do that. They actually now live in LA. They didn't move back. So they stayed where they were. But I was saying that the people even who've moved to the States or relocated there, or people who went to school there and made a life there, maybe they've been there 30 years, I think it's important because they've given their children opportunities that probably are not available here at home. So that's important. Opportunities, exposures, experiences, options, your options are more. And I think I loved that. And I thought, actually, they're doing this to give a better life for their children. And that's what we are. We are always trying to do better for our children, trying to do better for the next generation so that they are better. And I thought I would say that, And so that was my US trip. If I think of anything else, I'm definitely going to let you know. But it was really amazing. It was good. It was good to see that there are people who are living out there, Kenyans working hard. And then, of course, I went to Venice Beach, and of course, I had to find a Kenyan. I was even laughing. I was like, Ma, for sure. I come across this institution, Rafiki. I'm like, Rafiki? Those are Kenyans. So actually, when I got to the shop, the lady asked me, you didn't think they were Tanzanians? I said, I don't know. I didn't even cross my head, but I knew anyway. Rafiki, that name, there's somebody here from home or who knows about Swahili. So we talked, we took a picture, we talked in our own language, which was good, talking Swahili, and we had fun. And there's another guy I know out there had met also who sells, I think, kangas there. And it's good. I mean, it's good to see Kenyans. I was like, Kenyans are so enterprising. And everywhere you go, you find them. So I'm really glad about that. And then I must tell you this one. This one I didn't even wanted to do a video. So I get to Seattle and I'm trying to get my suitcases off the luggage, whatever thing that thing goes around the baggage wheel. And I see this guy and he's helping me, and I look at him and I said, hey, are you Kenyan? So he looks at me startled. And he asks, why? How did you know that? And I said, I don't know, you just look Kenyan. So he said, yeah, he is. So we started talking Swahili. It's amazing when you meet somebody overseas and you just start. So he started helping with my bags. Now, the most amazing thing about that man, I cannot believe it. Number one, he's a Borana. I was like, a Borana in Seattle for sure. Photo op moment. We didn't even have it because I was 2 hours was in my life like, a Borana in Seattle. So we met and I was like, Kenyans are everywhere, and it's so encouraging. They are everywhere. They are working hard. They want to make better for their lives and for their country as well, because they think they send a lot of money as well back home. They build stuff. They help their parents. They help out their siblings. That's another thing I found out, that there are people who take containers and buy food, imagine, and send it. I was like, God, Kenyans, they're at another level, and we really love, and that's one of the things that I want you to take out. We really, really love. But also, I found that Americans also love. They really do. The experience there between there and even being in the UK was very different. People are very friendly. They'll go out of their way to help you. They'll give you directions. There's some other places people are always in a bad mood. Even if you ask for directions, they're like, their answer might not be forthcoming, might not be pleasing, so you just leave it. But I found them very warm and very friendly and always going out of their way to help people. So a big shout out to those who are in the US, who are Kenyans living there. A big shout out to you. Keep on doing what you're doing. My encouragement to you would also be, don't forget about home. Don't forget about this country, and come back and always, and I guess you can connect, We don't have to be completely disconnected from this continent, which I know that you're not. But God bless you. God encourage you. God help you. What you're doing out there, it's a good thing. You're working hard. You're working smart. And I pray that you keep your options open. Remember us. And I think I was also encouraged by the lots of prayer that was taking place for the nation and the genuine concern about the country. So that was my US trip. So God bless. Take care and continue watching Just Angie, and we'll continue engaging. Bye.